前回の続きでございますね。タイムライン。間違えた。
When we receive the first letter, Hastings thinks that it is a joke. As for me, filled with foreboding, I prefer to inform Chief Inspector Japp. Mrs. Asher is not suspicious of the murderer, whom she takes to be an ordinary customer. The old lady turns around to take a packet of cigarettes. She is beaten to death. We investigate the first murder with Hastings. No suspect has a motive. A few weeks later, we receive a second letter signed ABC. Chief Inspector Japp is informed. The victim's name should start with the letter B.
これで終わりだ。再現。1個目の再現ね。
The killer enters the shop. Mrs. Asher turns around to greet a customer. The murderer asks her for some tobacco. She turns her back to him. He seizes the opportunity to strike her. He then places the ABC upside down before leaving. Everything appears to match the crime scene, mon cher Hastings. That is exactly what happened.
成功。新聞の事件の画像としても、あなたのことが届いています。では行きましょう。蓄音機の謎も解いたと思いますね。もう用はない。2個目の現場の家ですね。
It looks like this woman is single, but she has feelings for someone.
結婚はしてない。ペティとドナルド。写真のことかな。
She is looking so intensely at this photo. But is it really a sister that she's studying in this manner? They made the perfect couple, am I correct?
Yes, in a way. She was pretty and he...
Well?
He's a bright man, with a promising career ahead of him. He would have made Betty a good husband. He was always attentive and generous. Oh, a true gentleman.
I hear a note of envy in your voice.
You must have heard wrong.
キーを愛していただと。
Donald appeared to be very much in love with your sister.
Yes, he was mad about her.
Mad, you say? Being madly in love can often be destructive, and Mr. Fraser was known for being jealous, I believe.
No more than average. Men are always slightly possessive, especially when they are with a pretty woman.
I am not your enemy, Mademoiselle Bernard.
And you are not my friend either, Mr. Poirot, sir.
Yes, but your lies are not helping Mr. Fraser, or you, for that matter. I know that Fraser was jealous, but I wonder why you feel the need to protect him.
Protect him? I hope you're not suggesting...
That you are Fraser's accomplice? There is nothing to suggest that, at least not yet. It would appear that your sister's murder is the second in a series that we have to stop as quickly as possible. The first was in Andover, and the same as your sister, the murderer sent me a letter informing me that a crime would be committed in that town. Now can I count on your honesty?
Yes, you have my confidence, Mr. Poirot. Don is a quiet and sensitive young man. Slightly reserved, too. And as is often the case with reserved people, when he flew into a temper, he completely lost control. He could be so violent. Betty was frightened.
And when was this?
The first time was about a year ago. But they rowed more recently. Donald found out that Betty had lied to him. She said she was going out with a girlfriend, but she went out for dinner with a married man. It was an awful scene. She told him that until they were married, she was free to go with whoever she pleased. Donald turned quite pale and started shaking and kept saying one day...
Well?
He'd commit murder.
そうだと思うかね。
So, you were afraid that he would become our main suspect. I know that Fraser was jealous, but I wonder why you feel the need to protect him.
Exactly. Had you not told me about the case, I would never have dared to tell you about this little matter. Don loved Betty with all his heart. I can't imagine for one instant that he would hurt her.
Very good, Mademoiselle Bernard. Thank you for your help.
Fraser is at the Ginger Cat. The police haven't spoken to him, but they want to.
Très bien, Hastings. Let's see him now. Au revoir, mademoiselle. My deepest condolences to your parents.
Of course, Mr. Poirot. And don't be too hard on Don. He's more fragile than he looks.
If you say so. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
何の音をデートするので嘘をついた。
Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
結局順番にやるしかないんだよね。
Mr. Poirot, I don't like being stared at. If you have something to say, would you please say it to me?
Hastings always pays more attention when young women are being questioned. They're all Miss Modest, but the Barnards are definitely music lovers. I've finished with this subject. Family photos and fires. You've seen Fraser, Hastings. What is your feeling?
He's a big chap. Fragile isn't exactly the word that springs to mind. I talked to his landlady before seeing him. She went to bed at 11. Fraser wasn't home yet.
Bien. Megan Barnard said he is a reserved character but with a nasty temper. We will see if this is the case.
.事件現場はこっちなんですけどね。事件現場にもう一回行ってみましょうか。
She was a great beauty. Strange that chap didn't notice it. The guide is open at the page for the Bexhill train times.
ビグスヒル。
A braided seat belt. It may have belonged to the victim.
カニと鳥がたまにいるね。カニを追いかけたらいいことあんのかな。いけない。
Hastings appears to be ill at ease. He appeared to be relatively indifferent to Mrs. Asher's murder, but a young woman's murder seems to be troubling him greatly. I fear that this case is far from being solved.
Come on, Poirot. You'll find the killer.
Certes. But how many times will he kill before I do?
被害者が働いていたカフェ。
How do you do, Mr. Fraser?
You're Hercule Poirot. Mr. Hastings said you wanted to speak to me.
Yes. I know that it may not be at the right time, but I would like to ask you a few questions. This man looks suspicious.
Leave me alone.
ホワイトホース。
Donald Fraser is in a terrible state, as if he hadn't slept all night. And he's drinking White Horse.
Leave me alone. Tell me that it's a mistake. That Betty isn't dead.
Sadly, your lady friend has been murdered, Mr. Fraser.
Oh, Betty, if only you'd listened.
Did you visit Betty yesterday afternoon?
No, I haven't seen Betty for 2 days. I was at the office yesterday afternoon.
Can you prove that?
Of course. But why this question? Betty died yesterday evening, didn't she?
Yesterday, a guest came to the Ginger Cat alone and ordered a White Horse whiskey, and by the look of it, you also appear to be fond of this brand.
Yes, it's a good whiskey and not cheap. I only drink it on special occasions. Or tragic ones.
I understand. Do you know what Betty's plans were yesterday evening?
She said she was having dinner with her sister.
you believed her?
And why not, sir? She was my fiancée.
That did not stop her from lying to you before. Betty was not a bad girl, but she did like to take advantage of her success with men.
How dare you sully her memory?
Please excuse me if I appear to be brutal. I understand that this is a difficult time for you.
So you understand why I don't feel like talking, Mr. Poirot?
Ah, I knew I'd find you here, Poirot. I thought the victim's young man was here.
Yes, he's all yours, Chief Inspector. Let us now try and get our brain cells to work.
あれ長い時と人があったとなるのは曖昧があるか。
Hastings looks ill at ease. He really doesn't like Fraser. Hastings is bound to tell me what he thinks about Fraser later on. Now is not the right time. This is a well-laid table. Nothing is out of place, and above all, no creases. I've finished with this subject.
I don't want this young man here. Be quick and do what you must.
Fraser doesn't have an alibi and he's extremely jealous.
You are very skilled at summing up.
And yet you haven't asked Jap to arrest him.
It is too soon. But I agree, without the letters announcing the crimes, Fraser would already be behind bars. Bon, I think we have enough elements. Let's reconstruct the events at the scene of the crime.
I can't imagine how the murderer wasn't seen, though. Surely she must have struggled.
Let us try and imagine the scene. The killer and the victim are walking on the beach. Miss Betty has a bag, a belt around her waist, and carries her shoes in her hand. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 5. Both of them walk slowly to hut number 6. Miss Betty enters the hut. She leaves without her belongings. Then she hides a code. They keep walking. Then she removes her belt.
The murderer moves behind her and then attacks her by surprise. The body falls, lifeless, on the sand.
Everything appears to match the crime scene, mon cher Hastings. That is exactly what happened. Without the ABC, we might have suspected Mr. Asher and Mr. Fraser. But by signing his crimes, the murderer is making sure he's accused. In a way, it is very generous of him.
Generous? The murderer seduced Betty in order to lure her to the beach and kill her.
Indeed, the young woman was certainly careless, but not stupid enough to follow a stranger.
What are you planning to do, Poirot?
Return to London, mon cher Hastings.
B ダッシュとかできたらいいのにな。ロンドンに帰りたいんだけど、どうしたらいいのかな。
Right, back to London. There is nothing more for us to do here.
そしたら時間が来たので、今回はこの辺で終了にしたいなと思います。
Jap has decided to reveal details to the press. The alphabet murder is now famous.
It is not a bad idea. The more people who know, the greater our chances of finding out something of interest.
Poirot, I have a bad feeling. Poor Mr. Poirot, not so good at these little criminal matters as you thought yourself, are you? Rather past your prime, perhaps. Let us see if you can do any better this time. This time, it's an easy one. Churston on the 30th. Do try and do something about it. It's a bit dull having it all my own way, you know. Good hunting. Ever yours, ABC. Good hunting. Did you hear that, Poirot? The murderer seems to be taking it all as a game, a challenge. He will strike on 30th in Churston. We must warn Scotland Yard.
じゃあ今回はここまでね。